is one thing that you want everyone to take away?
Success is actually a journey, not a destination. The way you approach life determines the kind of results you get.
People know you as the CEO of Macon Innovation, tech bro. But I want us to meet Segun today. You were trekking long distances. Sometimes you would even go on an empty stomach.
Honestly, that season was crazy. I was teaching in a school then. I was collecting 7,000 naira every month. So we're talking and I was just telling him about I want to get a skill. I didn't allow myself to be affected with the fact that I don't have a laptop. I would look at code, write it on paper.
Why is it that you chose to go the hard route instead of going into vices?
It wasn't even because I didn't have access to do it. I knew people who were already going into it. So I don't believe in stealing. If you don't fear God, you will do things that could tarnish your image. Always think long term. God knows what He's doing. You sit in the book, right? I got the first job paying 6 figures and I was like, okay, I have escaped poverty.
You were already making headway. You decided not to go into fraudulent activities, but then you were diagnosed with.
It was a dark period for me, right? Like very, very dark because I was getting lean. In fact, if I ate, a part of my stomach would just suddenly get very hard and I'll just throw up. But one thing that I didn't stop doing was I didn't stop.
Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have a guest with me. Would you like to introduce yourself?
No, you can do what you do best.
Okay guys, so welcome to Segun's Chronicles. And you might be wondering why I'm here today. I know a lot of you wanted me back on the channel and I'm back. And today we're going to be talking about Segun's new book, Resilient by Design. And I'm just going to be asking him questions concerning the book and what you need to know about the book. So, hi Segun, how are you?
Hi Bula, I'm doing good.
It's good to have you on my channel today.
Well, yes, it's our channel today. So
okay. So before we even start, I just want to ask you, what is one thing that you want everyone that is listening now to take away before we even talk about the book? What is one thing you want them to take away from the book and from this podcast?
Well, one thing I want everyone to take away is that success is actually a journey, not a destination, right? Because when I decided to write the book, I wasn't writing from a point of, I have made it to the Forbes list or I am among the world's richest men, right? Because life is a journey and every day you become a better version of yourself. And that is what this book is about, that your past doesn't necessarily have to define you, but the way you approach life determines the kind of results you get. So it's a journey. Success is a journey, not a destination. So that's one key thing that anybody listening to this should pick.
Wow, that's brilliant. Success is a journey, not the destination.
Not the destination, yeah.
So I'm going to dive right into the questions I have prepared for you. Guys, I've read that book and the book is amazing, I must say. The book is amazing. There are a lot of things. I just even had to limit the questions I'm asking today because if I want to ask everything, I definitely can't finish it. So I'm going to ask some questions now. All right. So people know you as the CEO of Macon Innovation and tech bro and all of that. But I want us to meet Segun today. Like, Segun, you have to tell us a lot of things. Let's go back to your final year in secondary school.
All right.
You were trekking long distances. Sometimes you would even go on an empty stomach and all of that. So can you walk us through those days? How did that season shape you into the man you are becoming today? Okay, so you see, that year I won't say it was a dark period for me, right? But I think it sort of shaped me to understand that there will always be tough times, right? Because then I would always be like, I'm not sure I will experience tougher seasons than this. But literally the following year, I was in the tougher season, right? And even as I speak to you, I've experienced seasons where I'm like, oh my God have mercy. But one key thing that I picked from that season that still keeps me going till now is that God gives His strongest battles to His strongest soldiers, because God won't put me in that situation if He knows He won't bring me out of it. And look at me today, I'm still alive. Right? So yeah, that was one key thing that I picked from that season, because honestly that season was crazy. Like, it was very, very crazy. I won't lie to you. It was a very, very crazy period in time in my life. Okay. So God gives His
toughest battles to the strongest soldiers.
Exactly.
There were so many challenges like that were listed in the book. And I just want you to touch on something in particular. So you started working and earning from a young age, right? Because of the struggles that you were going through then. So I want you to touch on that. And then also, you picked up a lot of things like starting to teach people lessons
in school.
Yeah, so you were a teacher basically for a season in your life.
Yeah.
How would you say those early responsibilities affect how you do business today?
So, quick backstory. So you see, the storyline of this book starts from my final year in school till date. But I'm going to give you a little backstory even before then. So you see, when I was in SS2, I had this classmate. His mom reached out to me and told me, "Oh, our son is struggling with maths. Can I teach him?" Okay, now, then for me, I was struggling. I was like, okay, no problem. I can teach him for 2K every month, 2,000 every month. Because in my mind, I was like 500 every week. I am good to go, right? So that was like my very first experience into teaching people. Right, so when I got to SS3 and I saw that life had me in my throat, I was like, okay, I think I can do the exact same thing. So I looked at my surroundings. I knew that arts and commercial students, they were struggling with maths. And me, I'm the best math student. I was like, okay, I can take you guys math at 15 naira per week. Right, so per individual. To them, 15 naira, like it was... for me, it was, well, this is how we're going to make cash, right? And it has sort of helped me because I have learned to look at my surroundings and look for ways to make money, right? Just to survive. Honestly, I was once a drummer, right? And I didn't mention it in the book because at some point I was like, drums has to make me money, right? And I started looking at playing drums to make money.
Yes.
Right? Although in the book I mentioned something about I stopped playing drums at a point, right? I didn't mention the fact that I stopped playing to collect money as well, right? But for me, that was my way of just, oh boy, we need to find any means possible to make money. And that has actually helped and shaped me. Because even when I started my company, right, and I didn't start it with the mindset of we are going to be doing services to people. But when I said that, we need money, I was like, okay, let us do a boot camp. let us teach people something. Like, I'm forced at that point, it was a way of also just making money back to ourselves. So I feel that season in my life sort of just helped me understand that I have to use what I have to get the thing I want or need at that present time. Right, so yeah, that's something.
Wow, that's very powerful because even as you were trying to make money for yourself, you're actually solving a problem.
Yeah.
For the people that didn't know math then.
Exactly.
So you were doing two things, and that's actually very, very, very important. Yeah. Helping people while also helping yourself. My next question for you. You mentioned a very, very important character in your book.
Okay.
And that person is called Tolu.
Oh, my guy.
So Tolu was mentioned quite a number of times in the book.
Yeah.
And he was really instrumental in your growth. Actually, he was the one that introduced you to tech.
Yes.
And I want you to talk about that. You said something in your book, and I quote, "I realize that having the right tools is important, but a lack of them should never be an excuse to give up. Yeah. The most important tool is your own determination." From that quote, you can see that you're talking about you trying to do something and you don't have the right equipment. So that time that Tolu introduced you to tech, I mean, from what you've said now, you did not have the finances to get what you needed.
Exactly.
Right? To go into tech. So how was that?
Big shout out to Tolu. Right? Me and Tolu have been together now for like 9 years.
Wow,
now,
okay.
As friends, let's be together. Let's get that thing clear, right? When we met, it was drums that even brought us together. And we've been friends ever since then, right? So after secondary school, I was teaching in a school then. I was collecting 7,000 naira every month. Like, it was 7,000 naira then was big money to me because I got my first phone from that money, right? So we're talking and I was just telling him about I want to get a skill, right? And I was just thinking of ways by which I could make money by the time I enter university. Honestly, that was the whole point because I just finished SS3 and I knew that it was what I had that helped me make money. So I knew that I needed to enter university with that same mindset of, oh boy. So he was then telling me about his brother who was into tech, right? And the more he said it, right, it was fascinating. You know when a child hears something new for the very first time, like I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. Honestly, I became very, very interested. I went to told my mom about it. She was like, that's nice. And for me, I'm the kind of person who, once something fascinates me, I go all out. Let me take us back down memory lane. I think when I was in primary school or JS1, I saw somebody playing keyboard for the very first time. Because the church we were going to, they only had a drum set. So I was like, oh my God, this thing is nice. I disturbed my mom to get me a keyboard. She didn't get it though. But I mean, that just shows you how once I see something that I like a lot, I am very, very passionate about it. So then I would go to Tolu's place and he had a phone. So my phone then it wasn't really that much. So he had a Samsung J something, right? So would not like rich kid then. Bro was also going through his own phase. But I mean, his phone could, at least you could write code on that phone compared to what I had. Yeah. So I would go to meet him and be like, oh, boy, I didn't interested in this thing, right? And that was practice for me, right? And for me, I was joyous. I was like, okay, we are sort of making headway in it in a way, right? Of course, I later went on to learn somewhere else. The bottom line is, I didn't allow myself to be affected with the fact that, I don't have a laptop or anything. I was just ready to just learn. Right? I found it interesting. I was like, oh boy, this thing. I went online. If it's meant for me to read, because then I would look at code, write it on paper and be like, okay, this is this thing. Right? So for me, that was the thing for me, right? And I didn't allow the fact that I didn't have resources to limit me. I borrowed laptops at a point in time. So long term, right now, I might need something and I might not have the necessary tools to get it. But one thing I know I am good at is I know how to talk. And that's the one thing I know I have. So if I can't use influence to get my way into things, then I have to talk my way into it. So using what I have at that point in time to get what I need. That's something that's just stuck with me. Because you don't have all the resources, just know that you have one thing. And one crucial thing, I think I even wrote it in the book, is that the moment you start pushing for something, right, the universe will start working in alignment to ensure that you get that thing. I think it was Steve Maraboli who said something about the fact that the universe doesn't give you what you ask for by words, but it gives you what you demand for by action. And that's a word that I have always lived by. It's very crucial.
Wow. As you can see, I'm learning a lot. And I'm so happy that I'm the one asking the questions today, because you were asking me who is better, Messi or Ronaldo, the other time. No worries, my time today.
Okay.
This one is actually very important in our society today. That time you were really struggling financially, and
I'm still struggling. But I mean, we're better than before.
Okay, so we're better than before. That time, why is it that you chose to go the hard route? That was like learning a skill, becoming a teacher to get money, instead of going into vices. Like, what is an advice that you give to someone at your position then? Should they go into vices, or should they do what should they, like getting something and putting all their heart into it and continuing in that path?
Okay, so vices in this context means yahoo, scam.
Yeah.
Right? Good. What I'm about to say will be controversial, right? I sometimes understand when people say, I went to do fraud because of the struggles that I had at home. Like, when people tell me that, I can understand, because I have been in crazy situations where in my mind I'll be like, God, I beg. But one major reason why I didn't dive or put my hands into fraudulent activities and all that, it wasn't even because I didn't have access to do it, because I knew people post-secondary school who were already going into it. So it's just for me to just tell them, how far now? I sabi book now, let's do this thing, right? But it was more from a perspective of fear of God. It sounds simple, but it's just the truth. Fear of God. I can't scam you because you're a thief. Honestly, irrespective of how much we try to package it, you are stealing. It's not yours, and I don't believe in stealing. Right? Maybe because of teachings my parents have put in me, but honestly, that's just the thing. Fear of God. I don't think there's anything bigger than that, fear of God, because if you don't fear God, you will do things that could tarnish your image. Now, you could say, Segun, you're talking like this because you've not found yourself in that situation. But believe me, I think I have found myself in situations whereby I've asked God, God, please, give me the strength. I don't want to just do this. right? Because it would be a slap on my mom's face, on my dad's face, because of things they've taught me. So fear of God, nothing more, nothing less.
Wow, the fear of God. That's a very, very important point. You were already making headway, like you were already learning a skill. You decided not to go into fraudulent activities. You were locked in, right? And the COVID year came. Everybody was forced to be in their houses. And I'm sure that during that year, you were like, no matter what, I'm still going to continue. But then, your health was affected. You were diagnosed with tuberculosis at that point in your life. So I just wanted to talk about that period of your life. What were the lessons you learned, and how was that?
When we started this video, I said that my final year in school was the darkest year of my life, or I thought it would be the darkest year of my life. But COVID year, oh my God, COVID year was worse, right? Because there was lockdown. Right, where I was learning, they had the laptop, so I was using their laptop to learn. So at least life was favoring me. But COVID came, laptop was taken away, right? I started borrowing laptop from a neighbor, a grandson. He had the laptop, right? So I would borrow it on weekends, I would return it, right? So I used Monday to Friday to just learn theoretically and just write on paper while I transfer what I wrote on paper to the system. But during that period, I didn't know that life was saying, you show you shege. Right? Don't get it twisted. We've seen more shege afterwards, but what I know is that the fact that I could survive the COVID year means I can survive literally anything. And it all started with just cough, right? I was just coughing. My elder brother would be like, this guy don't cough, right? He would just say it jokingly. Right? Well, it started to get serious. We went for a diagnosis first. They were like, it's just cough, that I should just buy antibiotics, right? So we got antibiotics. But it kept getting serious. At some point, I thought I had COVID. I won't lie to you. Because COVID, if anybody coughs, like, Well, I was like, if I have COVID, everybody should have COVID now. So I had been coughing since April, May, June, July. 4 months of intense cough, and I was getting lean. I think even in the book, I left a picture just for you to see how slim I looked. Like, I looked slim. In fact, in that picture, it was like 1 month after I started using medication. So we went, and then they said it's tuberculosis, right? And at least the only good thing from that was that we were not going to pay. The drug was free. So kudos to the government at that point in time, because if it was paid, oh my God. It was a dark period for me, right? Like very, very dark, because I was getting lean. I wasn't eating. In fact, if I ate, like a part of my stomach would just suddenly get very hard and I'll just throw up. So it was very, very terrible. It was a terrible period of my life. But one thing that I didn't stop doing was I didn't stop learning. Now somebody will be like, this guy, they lie, you are giving us motivation. But it's the truth. I don't have anything to gain from lying. Right? It was the truth. I told my mom to still keep borrowing the laptop. Because I spent all day on the bed. Right? I could not go outside. In fact, most people told me my friend did not even know I had tuberculosis, because that was how secretive I was about it. I didn't go outside. Thankfully, there was COVID, so the lockdown favored me. Nobody would know that I was sick, right? But I told my mom to still keep borrowing the laptop. So on weekends, I'll be on the bed and we'll just try and just do the little we could do. And here we are today.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning. That's very important. Let's talk about when you got into university.
Okay.
Around the time you got into university, you also bought your first laptop.
Yes.
You also bought your first laptop, and you also started a business.
Yes.
Which you later shut down.
Completely.
You later shut down. So I want you to talk about discipline, because I'm sure that, I don't know, I'm just thinking that it might have been tempting for you to use that money to buy something else, like instead of your laptop that you really needed. How did you develop discipline in that season, and what did that business you started teach you?
I'm not from a rich background. I won't even say well-to-do, because Pastor Deboye will say the poor called his parents poor. For me, I could say the same thing, because people looked at us then like, so they don't really have much. Like, people that didn't have much looked at us as if we didn't really have much. So I didn't really have that many clothes. Right? When I entered university, I entered with 2 jeans. Those 2 jeans, my mom sewed the jeans for me, right? Just to ensure that, just to paint a picture, to let you know how low I was. I think I resumed to university with about 2 to 3 shirts. One was undersized, actually. Right? That was how low the period was. And when I got my first laptop, I had been posting consistently on my WhatsApp status. That was the only place I could post then. I would just post maybe a picture of a code on the borrowed laptop. I would just talk about coding. Like, you just know that this person, this is the only thing he's doing with his life. Currently, I view the status of some people who are just talking about stuff they are doing. And I was like, I was once in this situation. Because you have to be mad about something for you to be serious. Like, it should cloud your entire thought process. In fact, I'm of the opinion that if you don't see yourself dreaming, like you sleep and you dream, and you don't see yourself doing that in your dream, if not, it's the truth. Because when I was in secondary school, I saw myself. Quick backstory, say I'm taking us back. Okay. There was a math question then that I was struggling with. Do you know that I slept? It was in dream I got the answer. No, it's the truth, because I slept and I was like, so in my dream I was like, that was how it was for me back then as well, when I was learning how to code and just still my first year in coding. And someone reached out, I want to build a website, 4-page. Now, I had gone to Taiwo. For those who don't know Ilorin, Taiwo is a place here in Ilorin that you can get stuffs. And I had gone to price a laptop. It was not new, it was not second hand, it was third hand. Right? It was third hand, 50k Dell. I was like, okay. So 50k was a mountain, because then I think to enter school, I think I needed 50k to pay school fees or so. So when this person told me, I told the guy I would do it for him at 45k. I had like 10k in my account. I had been saving. I had 10k in the account. So I was like, okay. And don't get to say that 10k came from me doing home lessons. I was still doing home lessons during this period though. Like, I was hustling for money because I knew what I needed to resume with. Like, entering school, I'm going to need a laptop, and I need to ensure that I can support my parents with whatever money I have, right? So 45k, the site was done. I told the guy I'll build it in 24 hours. Today, I tell people that your site will take me a week. For that particular guy, I knew that I need this money ASAP. I delivered though. I borrowed the person's laptop, built it, delivered, got my laptop that week. See, I was broke after I bought the laptop, but for me it was an investment. Right? Because now I could enter the university with a laptop. I don't care if anybody has a fancy laptop. Me, I know what I used in getting that laptop. So that was discipline for me. My first thing in school, I was still on the edge of, should we do academics or should we do tech? I was like, I'm still an academic person then, because then coding was still like passion, right? It wasn't yet bringing in that much funds. I knew that I'm still stronger academically, so I was pushing a lot of energy into academics, but still doing 1 to 2 hours daily coding, just learning new stuff online. So that was the discipline for me. It was just, we can't sacrifice one for the other. Let us face the one that we are currently stronger at, which was academics. Meanwhile, for the company I started then, it might sound controversial, but sometimes when you read a book, not everything you learn from the book is needed at that point in your life. It could be something that you need in the future.
Yes.
To provide context, there's a book I bought, 80-20 Principles of Marketing. I bought this book in 2020 or 2021. It is this year that I am just beginning to understand a lot of things on the book. Right? So then I read this book, Why A Students Work for C Students and B Students Work for the Government. I was like, oh my God. I was inspired. Like, you know the kind of person I am. Once I see something, like once you see that new shiny toy, and you're like, oh my God, you go all out, right? And I saw that entrepreneurship it seemed to be the escape out of poverty. Because I was poor. So I saw, okay, so I started pushing SM Tech, right? And in fact, it was under SM Tech I was able to build that first website. But beyond that, there wasn't really that much clients coming in, because it was just a one-time thing. But at least I got a laptop then. So that was how I actually started that company then. But later on, I had to say, you know what? Calm down. Let us stop this thing. Honestly, I learned discipline during that period, Sha.
I know you've just said that you focus on academics.
Yeah.
Like in your first year. But at some point, it seems that your attention went into tech.
Fully.
So, and at that time, you were still a student.
Yeah.
So I want to know, would you advise people who are students currently to forsake their academics for their business and just say that, well, you just sit down for now, let me focus on this? What would be your advice for people like that who have both their academics and their business that they are running? How would you advise them to manage it?
When I entered university, right, the goal was simple: first class. There was nothing else. It was first class. Like people who knew me then, if they were to bet, they would say Segun got first class. I was that good, right? And yeah, at the end of 100 level, I was on first class. But you see, we thank God for the strike that happened. Thank God for the strike that happened, right? I think in my own life, God just sort of pressing pause in certain things of my life so that I can learn new things. During that strike period, I started going for tech events. I'd never been to a tech event, right? I was just doing tech as passion, but now going for tech events made me see the possibilities in it, right? And it was even during that period I started working with teams, right? Like collaborating with people. In fact, it was during that period of collaboration I realized that, oh boy, I need to dump this business I'm doing. Because then I was going with the mindset of a freelancer, when actually there's a lot more to learn. Once again, it might sound controversial, but I'm of the opinion that if you are doing freelance, maybe in tech, there's a limit to the kind of things you get to work on, right? You might face a particular niche, but for me, I was collaborating on so many different projects. So I was just learning a whole lot. Money was not coming in, right? I was not doing it for the money, but I was doing it for the sake of increasing my network. And thankfully, for my network, I got my first job. So now I got the first job. You see it in the book, right? I got the first job. And you see that first job, it was paying 6 figures. And I was like, okay, I have escaped poverty, right? Now, escape poverty in the sense that now my parents wouldn't have to struggle to pay school fees. Right now, I could easily pay school fees. I could pay house rent. I could cover my feeding. So that was off their chest. Now, strike finished and I was faced with the dilemma. Should we still keep doing 1 to 2 hours daily? In all honesty, I was like, I've already gotten a job without a degree. Mind you, I was studying computer science. I was like, oh boy, we're going to give more energy to tech than to academics. Now, what made me come to that conclusion was because I had calculated that, okay, I'm going to forsake first class as long as I stand out in tech. And yes, I'm standing out. I look at my CGP, I was like, okay, if my 200 level GP drops, 300 level GP drops, 400 level GP drops, that IGP on a level, that GP was quite high, would balance it out. I was like, you know what? Let's face tech. Let us face tech. So, would I advise anybody to forsake academics? I didn't drop out. I did not forsake it because I knew that I needed the certificate. Fun fact, I got into a particular gathering. I can't disclose because I am a graduate. There are advantages to having the degree. So I won't say you should forsake it. But if you know you are okay with whatsoever result you have, once again, I believe you should face that which is helping you right now. Because at the end of the day, we all know the situation of the country. Right? We all know the situation of the country. I think I won't say more than that. But yeah.
Don't forsake your academics.
Don't drop out. Don't.
Okay. So piggybacking on what you said about how you landed your first job, that was through a connection that you made at that tech event. So would you advise people who are just getting into business to prioritize making connections over just making money? Or what do you have to say about that?
Yes. Whether you're just learning a new skill or you're starting business. Okay, so I'll give perspective. When I entered tech, when I just started, I wasn't going for tech events. So I was growing at a particular rate. But when I started going for tech events and I started seeing what people were doing, it ignited a fire in me that I decided to literally lock in. Like May of that year, I didn't go outside. I didn't go to church. The church I was drumming for, I sent them a message. I'm no longer coming, get a new drummer. Right? I was collecting money. Like, that was one of the things that was helping my life then. Right? I said, this is what I'm facing now. Now, this burning desire came from events I went for. Right? Because now, iron sharpened iron. Yes. I was seeing what people were doing. I was having conversation with people that were in tech. Now, when I started my company, I didn't really have that many people that were at my age starting a company, right? So it was like I was just freestyling, if I should use the word. But I started going for business events. I can't remember the last time I went for a tech event. If I ever go for a tech event, that means I'm going there to speak, right? Because I know that my target audience are not in tech events. Because most like, if techie will meet me that after they find job, when me, I'm looking for partnerships and money. So I started going more for business events. I don't care whether I pay for the event or not, right? And I tell you that in the last 6 months, I've gone for quite a number of business events. I've made quite a few number of connections, and in that 6 months period, I won't say, we've made money, but I have been able to enter places, or my name has been able to enter places that I'm like, oh my God, interesting. So I want to advise you to chase the money. Yes, money is important to keep the business running, but long term, you need to think long term. You need to look at partnership. You need to look at network. you need to increase the amount of business owners that you know. Irrespective of whatever it is you are doing right now, I strongly advise that you look out for networking events to go to. Always.
All right.
And just a disclaimer, I'm not saying that I have outgrown going for tech events, but currently that's not my focus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Segun. Like, I love the fact that you said think long term, because in the future, you're going to need those connections. It's not going to be the money you make today, because first of all, there's even inflation, there's deflation. So that money that you think you're making now, that's not what is going to sustain you.
Exactly.
Because long term, you need people. That's just it. So I think making connections are important. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
We've already talked about your company, Macon Innovation. And I want you to talk about how resilience has helped you, because in your book, you mentioned that you were rejected by investors. And I want you to talk about how you came out stronger in those seasons of life when you really needed those investors, but you couldn't get them. How did you come out of it? How did you forge through that situation?
Okay. Stronger mentally, but emotionally, my heart was cut into pieces. Right, because we had money for runway. Runway in business means the amount of money that your company can still live on for quite a couple of months, right? But I had expansion plans in mind, and I started reaching out to people within my network who I knew could invest, that I had money. The first person we had back-to-back calls, in my mind I was like, if you just give me a response. I'm tired of over-explaining and all that, and I got a no. I was like, okay. It happens, right? I was pained. I was like, okay, it happens. Second person, respect a lot. We spoke. He looked at the pitch deck. He liked it, blah, blah, blah. But one thing he said was, I don't see a business in this. I was like, ouch. I was pained, right? But I looked at it as feedback. One angle I looked at it from was that if I had gotten a yes, then my story would not be sweet. Right? The reason why my story is sweet now is because now, in the last year in school, this boy Shoshige, he had tuberculosis, he struggled. So, and I don't think business should be a walk in the park. But I mean, if it's a walk in the park, I would not mind though. I've suffered. Right? I've suffered, right? But for me, I saw it as feedback. I was like, okay, let's see what happens over the next 5 years. And one thing I learned from that was, okay, make iterations as fast as possible. Because I think that's something that people that are starting businesses, I'm not saying that I have known this business thing. I'm just a year plus in business, but I think I have made quite a number of iterations and pivots. Right? That's something I have learned, that iterate, make pivots. Because you need to do anything legally to make your business survive. Emphasis on legally. Right? And that was just one thing I learned, that see, we need to make pivots here and there. So for me, that was just the lesson I learned from that. I still remember it, and it's low-key feels painful because I needed that money to make some crazy expansions, but yeah, we are still standing.
Yes, still standing. That's the important
right
part.
now.
Okay, in the mind we're standing.
When the mind was standing.
Okay, now let's talk about friendships. Let's talk about the power of friendships. So you mentioned Tolu in this book, of course, like he has been really influential in your life.
Yeah.
And vice versa for the two of you. You also mentioned your circle when you got into university. How has that helped you? How have your relationships, specifically your friendships, helped you in your business, your career, and your personal life?
Big shout out to Tolu, Bolu, AY, Cornerstone, Daniel, Peace, China, Basil, but China, right? Now, you guys are remarkable people, right? And how did these people make an impact in my life? Year one, we were reading like mad. Like everybody was facing book.
Yes.
Like literally. Year two, everybody seemed like everybody just left book and started facing their businesses, right? So it was, it just had that, there was that sign and just like, me myself, I just left book, using it to their living book, okay? Right, so it's almost seemed like we were all working in alignment, right? And when one person is down, there's always someone to lift the other person up, right? And I remember one time in under level, AY came to my hostel then. My hostel then was very small, so I and Peace were staying together, and I was telling AY that I built AY site for 45k, and AY was like, that's what they charge for a logo. I thought, in my mind I was like, what's going on here? What's going on here, right? But it sort of made me change the way I
saw myself as a developer. I was like, if a designer can charge this, then I should be able to charge more. Right? I mean, I knew I was good.
Yes.
I knew I was good. Right? I'm not going to say if you're not good, you should not go and start charging. Please don't try that. But I knew I was good. Right? I was like, okay, this is something I've learned. Even in business, one person that I have turned to most times for funds when I started my business is China. Like, China has been supportive. Right? He has been very, very supportive. Like, he's a great person in the area. Yeah, like, he's a very, very great person in the area. Shout out to China. Like, because business-wise, like, during those periods of looking for investors and all of that, they're turning me down. I still at China, like, no problem. Right? See, the power of friendship is crucial. Like, I can't talk about the fact that Tolu has been my guy for quite a number of years now, right? Cornerstone has been there, right? Look at Bolu now, all my fine videos that people see online that have sort of created a perception to people and even made it easy for me to enter certain DMs on Instagram. It's because of the wonderful edits that she does to the videos, right? So the power of friendship, Isaac Newton said, I have come far because I stood on the shoulders of giants. I have stood on these people's shoulders. Right? You guys are wonderful people.
That's very important. And I love the fact that it was your friend or our friend Ayo that told you how much he was charging for a logo, and you were like, I should be able to charge more for web development as well. Like, because if you didn't have that kind of friend now, you would know that you're supposed to charge more.
Yeah.
So your friendships are actually very, very important.
Let them stretch you.
Yes, they should stretch you. Okay, this interview has been so good so far. I hope you're enjoying it. If you're enjoying it, please subscribe, like,
leave a comment.
Share, leave a comment. Let's say what you're thinking about this. We already talked about faith, but I want you to actually emphasize on it. Faith was actually a very consistent theme in your book. So I want you to talk about it. Like, how has God's timing been impactful in your life, and also faith in general?
In that book, it's not really I won't say it's a Christian book, but I ensure I didn't take away the God factor. But don't get it twisted. There have been days where I've been like, God, why? Oh God, I beg, now die I did. Because I've been like, Like, in some periods I'll be like, God has forsaken me. Like, there have been periods I would chat to my mom and be like, I don't think God is hearing me. She would just remind me like, have you forgotten? But me, I would forget. I would be like, the situation I'm in right now. But then at some point I would think twice and be like, God have mercy. Right? Because God's timing is very, very crucial. Let me give you instances. I finished secondary school, best student in everything. My work result was held. Right? Work result was held. It was held back, so I didn't enter school the first year. That was the period I was doing all of those waka, teaching, learning coding. It was during that period I had TB, tuberculosis. Imagine I had entered school with tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Imagine there was no COVID. All of those things, I just look at them like, God knows what He is doing, right? God knows what He is doing. In fact, in business, I'll be like, perhaps the reason why God isn't making certain things click yet is because He wants to test the strength of my character. Because before, I normally brag to people that I have a very good character. Like, the strength of my character is solid when I meet tough things. But I didn't realize that business would test the strength of my character and make me be like, should we put our hands into things? See, at some point, I started learning how to launder money. Like, that was how bad. Like, I was like, oh boy. But I was like, no, now. This is not going to glorify God. Right? So that's the fact that God has been there right from when I was a child to this present time. The inspiration to write a book has been there since 2022. But God didn't give me the energy, not the resources to write it. But 2025, I announced that I'm feeling the strong urge to write the book. And for some reason, God has just been making things fall in place for the book. So God's timing is crucial. Like, I can't take that area away. You just have to have faith in God that things will be done. You might not know how, but just always think long term. Like, always long term, that God knows what He's doing. Like I said, God gives His toughest battles to His strongest soldiers.
Thank you for saying that. The God factor is really, really important. Faith in our lives is important. And you mentioned your mom quite a number of times in the book. And I would want you to say something to her. What is one thing you want to say to her if she's watching this right now?
one thing. There are a lot of things to say, but trying to put the words right. Right? But if there's one thing I would say is thank you. Thank you sounds vague, but thank you. Thank you, because when I had tuberculosis, she was there with me. Like, she was literally sleeping on the same bed with me. There was no fear of whether she will have tuberculosis, right? Growing up as a child, like teachings, introducing one to faith. When I made the choice to become a Jew mama, she was supportive. There's a lot to say, but thank you. I honestly just thank you, because it was those teachings from a young age have resulted in what we are building now, right? Because these are teachings, our words of advice. I mean, there are times where I've just been angry and be like, what is this woman saying? What are you saying? You don't know what I'm going through. But then there are times I realize that she might not know what I'm going through, but her impact in my life is beyond no doubt. One of the most strongest impacts anybody has ever had in my life. Like anybody. Beyond the books, the videos we've read, we've watched, the books we've read, that impacts. Nah.
Thank you, Ma. So for the last question, I would say that your book is not a happily ever after book. It's not like, oh, everything is rosy at the end and all of that. So it's still the journey of becoming.
Yeah.
It's still ongoing. So why did you decide to write this book now, and who is the book for?
So, earlier I said something about the fact that in 2022, I had the nudge to write a book. But looking back now, I thank God that God didn't make the resources available to write the book, because there won't be that many life lessons, right? And it might not impact the lives of people as I would want it to impact. Now, who are the people I want it to impact? I'm looking at the young generations, people who are just trying to find their way around life. People are having doubts that, is God really there? Is God listening to my situation? Are there people that can relate what I'm going through? Because we see a lot of books from people who are successful, and you're like, this person can't relate to what I have been through. I'm not saying I am successful, but yes, success is a journey, right? And if they told Segun of 5 to 7 years ago that this is what we'll be doing right now, I would have believed, but I'll be like, really? Because the situation we were in then was very, very bad. I've seen an individual who told me, a very brilliant student who told me after he was done secondary school, that he's looking to peak. I was like, peak? What do you mean peak? It was like, there wasn't resources to sponsor his academic journey and all of that. I was like, I understand. Peak in this context means scam. Like I was like, I understand your point of view. But then I sat down and told him my story, told him the struggles. And I told him, see, I'm not going to say she not pick, but think twice about it. Right? Because ultimately the decision is yours. And thankfully, he didn't do that. It's also on his own journey of becoming. So everybody is on our journey of becoming. If you look back at your life right now, where you were 5 years ago, and now, you would see that you're not in the same place. And even if you have been in the same place, then you should look at it as, okay, now I'm about to start a new journey of the next 5 years. Because for me, I believe that 2026 will be a better year. 2027, like, I think on my birthday, I shared a 20 picture slide. And somebody entered my day and said, Segun, you've grown. No. In fact, last year and this year, you've gotten bigger. I was like, it is God. Doesn't mean that I'm successful or that oh, my company has raised one huge amount of money, or we are impacting the lives of so many people. But yeah, we're impacting people in the little way we can. And we're making a change, right? So, and that's just why I wrote the book and said, you know what, people need to see this. And I also wrote it for myself, so that in situations whereby I'm like, God, you've forsaken me, I can look back and pick up the book and say, the world is watching. So we must not feel ourselves and must not feel God. All right, so yeah, that's why I wrote the book.
Okay, thank you so much, Segun. I've learned a lot. I must say, the book is phenomenal. I read the book and immediately I started, I couldn't stop. Like, I had to keep going because it was really good. And I would say that the lessons in that book are applicable to you, even with any stage you are in life right now. Honestly, you're going to learn a lot from the book. So you guys should stay tuned for Resilience by Design by Olusegun Joe Alabi when it comes out.
November.
You should be the first person to get the book.
Yeah.
Don't wait for another person to get it before you be the first person to get the book. Okay, so we'll see you in the next video on my channel.
But subscribe to my channel.
Okay, subscribe to Segun's Chronicles.
Thank you, Bolu. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, thank you, Segun.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye, Segun.